we go. Hi, welcome to the COVID-19 Lake Norman and North Mecklenburg briefing call. Today is Wednesday, May 27th. Where has the month gone? My name is John Bradford, and I am your briefing call moderator. This represents our 10th week of doing these 3 days a week, although we did take Monday off in observance of Memorial Day. I'm a small business owner, 2 companies here in North Mecklenburg, about 40 employees, started from the ground up, and I'm also a former member of the North Carolina House of Representatives. The purpose of these calls is to bring together experts from both government, healthcare, business leaders to provide COVID-19 briefings to update, educate, and support the North Mech region during this outbreak. Now, that's very important, but I'll tell you what else is important. That's today is my mom's birthday. So my mom listens to these calls. So you see on the screen, happy birthday, Mom. I love you very much, and I hope you have a very special day, and hopefully I'll get to see you this weekend. So anyway, moving along. In terms of the U.S. number of cases, we're a little over 1.6 million cases. We're at 98,000 deaths. And comparing that to our last call, which was last Friday, because we did not have a call for, Monday because Memorial Day, we were at 93,000 deaths, so about 5,000 new deaths across the U.S. And you can see we're at about 1.55 million. So we've had about an additional 45,000 cases in the U.S. The heat map shows North Carolina is still kind of middle of the pack compared to all the other states that are out there. Here in North Carolina, we're at 24,140 confirmed positive cases, 766 deaths. That's up from Friday. We had 728 deaths. And hospitalization, we were at 568 hospitalized on Friday, which was actually down from last Wednesday, but now we're at 621 hospitalized. So that number continues to just vary slightly. We're, of course, in all 100 counties, 100 out of 100 counties have impact. And you can see by this blue arrow, the urban areas tend to be the more concentrated areas, which is natural because of the population and the density that we have. Phase 2 did start Friday at 5 p.m. So we are under what they're calling a safer at home initiative. Phase 2 is tentatively scheduled to last for 4 to 6 weeks. So that should get us somewhere June 19th to July 3rd. There are things that are open: healthcare, essential business, retail, childcare, day camps, parks, beaches, restaurants. Closed would be bars and nightclubs, playgrounds, gyms, fitness studios, indoor venues. Restaurants and like personal grooming care, such as massage, salons, they're at 50% capacity, as well as indoor and outdoor public pools are also at 50% capacity with some other safety measures in place. Gathering limits are 10 people for mass gatherings indoors, 25 for outdoors. Now, on this call, I brought this up on Friday about microbreweries and wineries, about it didn't really make sense why they were excluded. And so I think the public pressure might have helped, and sometimes that does. And so a clarifying order was sent out that basically does say that the wineries and breweries can operate if they fall into like the restaurant-like categories and they serve what they sell, then they can operate along with the other safety measures. That was great news because we have a lot of local breweries right here in our town, and obviously we'd love to go to the tap rooms and some other folks next, but this was at least a move in the right direction. Phase 3, of course, will come after Phase 2 in a few weeks, and of course those restrictions will be even more reduced than we're seeing today. Mecklenburg County data, we're at 3,379 positive cases, 79 deaths. What's noteworthy about those 79 deaths is almost all of them were greater than 60 years old. 5 deaths were from ages 50 to 59, and 1 death was 43 years old. And all deaths except 1, so technically not all, but 78 of the 79 deaths occurred in adults with underlying chronic illnesses, and then more than half of those deaths were connected to active outbreaks at long-term care facilities. So it really does show that there is a vulnerable segment of our population, and those folks need to continue to take safe measures and precautions. Remember the 3 W's: wear a mask, wash your hands, and please wait 6 feet apart from other people. If you need a face shield, if you're in a business where employees are more comfortable wearing a shield, there's a company in North Carolina in Kinston, $8 a piece, frame and the shield. You can go here. It's called Layered Manufactured and Consulting. Their phone number is 248-210-1021, and their website is right here on the screen. And they're clear masks, and I see lots of people wearing them. I've gone to some retailers like grocery stores and Costco, and some of the folks are wearing these types of shields. So maybe something for your employees to wear. And if you want a face cloth covering, Aneralla Mills, another North Carolina-based company, $2 each, youth and adult sizes available. Shop Aneralla Mills. is the website. You see it on the screen. Their phone number is 1-800-334-8605, option 1. Now, today's panelists, we every Wednesday are joined by the United States Small Business Administration, the State of North Carolina Director, Thomas A. Stith III. He's with us today. He gives us updates on what's going on with the SBA and some of the loan and grant monies that are available. Director Stith, the microphone's yours, sir.
Thank you so much, John, and thank you again for providing this opportunity. As I mentioned last week, and just want to reemphasize this week, one of our major initiatives, the Paycheck Protection Program, still has funding available for small businesses, nonprofits, including faith-based organizations. We still have over $100 billion available for the Paycheck Protection Program. And as your listeners will know, this is designed to provide, first and foremost, a financial vehicle to support individuals remaining or returning to your small business or nonprofit payroll. There's a forgivable clause to this loan if applied, at least 75% for payroll, and then at a minimum, 25% could go to other allowable operating costs, rent, utilities, lease payments. So we're encouraging small businesses to take advantage. The first round of funding went very quickly. We're seeing a very paced process, and still have lenders that will entertain small businesses. We have, as you've listed before, John, on our district website, a listing of lenders. If your current lender is no longer submitting applications to SBA, there's a listing of banks and credit unions that work with SBA throughout North Carolina, including fintech organizations. We want to give an update on the economic injury disaster loans. Those actually were the first response back on March the 18th. North Carolina, all 100 counties became eligible for an economic injury disaster loan application. Now we're seeing statewide over $930.5 million has been approved for over 11,000 small businesses and nonprofits in the state. The emergency advance that could provide up to $10,000 of grant, depending on number of employees, it's $1,000 employee, up to 10,000. That now we've seen over 80,000 applicants approved for the emergency advance in North Carolina, and that's a little over $273 million. So new numbers in for the economic injury disaster loan. They are still being processed. Again, significant demand for this initiative. So it is taking time, but we are starting to see the results. If you add, the advantage and the grant together, you have over $1 billion that have been approved since inception. As we said last week, it's still strong financial support from the Paycheck Protection Program. We're over $12 billion, and that in financial assistance. And that translates into over 111,000 applicants here in the state. So, John, we're still seeing these programs very active. The PPP literally still having funding for new applicants. The EIDL is going through the review process, still accepting applications from our agriculture community. That's very important. That was provided with additional funding for the EIDL. And again, SBA is able to work with small businesses along with our resource partners in the region and across the state to support our small business community. Thank you so much, John.
No, you bet, Director Stith. Thank you for these updates. Very important information, and I've added, agribusiness to the list of qualifying possibilities. I know it was nonprofits we've added, so just thank you for these updates. They're very, very valuable. So, and we appreciate you joining weekly, and just can't thank you enough. Moving to Dr. Jack. Now, Dr. Jack's not on the call today. He's working, but he also said that he really didn't have any updates to share, which I think is news in itself. I mean, we have a local doctor, and there's really nothing noteworthy for him to share with us today. And I know he's working, but I think that's telling right there. So it's kind of, he's out doing what he needs to do, and we appreciate him being a panelist, but he's not with us today. Now we're going to go for a quick update to Mecklenburg County Commissioner Pat Cotham. Commissioner, the microphone's yours.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you for allowing me to be on the call. This is Pat Cotham. I'm at-large county commissioner. I have to say, in the last few days, the county has been, we've been more focused on our budget. And we've had some very long meetings, and I've had a long one yesterday, and we had one starting this morning, and we're going to continue in a little while. But we have been more focused on that. And so I don't have a whole lot of information. One thing that I do want to talk about the pandemic is a lot of times there seems to be conflicting responses from the state and from the county, and I think that we had a similar thing with the breweries where the state came out, and then it was a slow going for the county. But finally we came through, and just to clarify, John, for a point of interest, the breweries are classified as production. And so that was one part of it that made that difference between restaurants and bars. But it seems that the process at the county is they are going through things with kind of a fine-tooth comb to make sure. And one of those topics is sports, kids' sports, because the state has come out and said that youth baseball and softball and tennis, swimming is all a go. And then the county hasn't joined in. And I have talked to several leaders in kids' sports, and I listened before this call to a great interview from South Charlotte Sports with Dr. Mandy Cohen, and she reiterated that baseball and softball and tennis were considered non-contact sports, whereas basketball was, because of the proximity of one player to the other, and again, because of this virus having to is spread through, any kind of spray coming out of our mouth or our nose. So she made it very clear. But I am going to follow up with the county on this, but I am guessing that this process is just the same with this, and they are just kind of going through it to make sure, and having probably set out more rules, like having dugouts where the kids are separated, and more to make sure that spectators outside, preferably around 25, do have some distance, from each other. So I am hopefully we can get this going quickly, because I know kids need to get out, and it does affect mental health to have kids active and have some normalcy. And I have a grandson who's plays sports, so I can see he really misses doing it. So, but it seems like that's the process with the county. They're a little slower, and they just want to, dot the I's and cross the T's to make sure, and before they give out their approval. And my guess is that on some of these things, it is because of the full court press we've had with our budget that we don't have an answer yet, but I expect we'll have one soon. So that concludes my update. I'm sorry that it was only focused on one thing, but that's my report from Mecklenburg County.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Cotham. Really appreciate you being on all these calls. Moving to the town of Cornelius, Mayor Woody Washam. Are you with us today, Mayor?
Yes, I am, John. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. Several items to update folks on. We had a pretty good entry into phase 2 safe at home category of the reopening process this past weekend. I know I've frequented one of my favorite restaurants in town. It worked out great. Sat on the patio and had a wonderful meal. It felt good to be back. It really did. But we still have some numbers out there that I'll talk about. Related specifically to Cornelius. Looks like we have around 83 cases in our town. We've had 17 deaths, which I believe are all at Autumn Care. There are 67 cases at Autumn Care, which is remaining pretty constant. And I don't think we've had an update on that death. I don't think anybody has passed away there for a couple of weeks now. So we're still at 17, which I'm not proud of, but at least it isn't increasing. There are 46 cases at Autumn Care of Mecklenburg County residents, and again, the 17 deaths were Mecklenburg County residents. So that's what our numbers look like. We're reacting in a more normal way, I think, as we get back in the swing of things. Still handling a lot virtually. If you were aware and tuned in, we did do the reveal. We call it the Great Reveal for the Kane Center for the Arts new facilities this past week. It's in progress as we move through one more week. We'll show you what that's all looking like. We did have our Memorial Day virtually, which went over quite well. Had a lot of folks participating online, and that was nice. I do want you to know that this coming Monday on June 1st at 8:30, we will have our virtual coffee chat. That typically occurs at Harvey's, but it will be virtual again this month. And our special guest will include the Mecklenburg County Health Director, Gibby Harris, to give us an update from her perspective. We'll talk a little bit about our budget, and we'll also give you an update on the Kane Center with Justin Dion as our guest as well. So that's coming up this Monday at 8:30 virtually. You can get that link out on the town website or the town Facebook page. And that's all I have. Thank you, John.
You bet. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that update. Moving to the town of Huntersville, Mayor John Aneralla. Mayor, the microphone's yours.
All right. Well, thank you. And hopefully everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And we also did a virtual, and I thought it came out, ceremony, and I thought it came out really nicely. And a shout out to former Commissioner Mark Gibbons for organizing that. Our businesses, we're happy to be reopening this weekend. I can't tell you specifically, but I did go to a number of them. And I think overall the weather probably affected some, a little bit slower than a lot of people had hoped for, but it's going to take some time before people feel fully confident to get out and about. But I know that they're happy to be open. Also, Meck County put out a press release today to go to their website, mecknc.gov. There's some new information about how to get your business up and running, and toolkit. So that should be something that if you are still not fully sure about how to open, or you're already open and you want to have some additional guidelines, you can go to mecknc.gov. In terms of parks, I'll confuse everybody a little bit more. Our parks are open right now, and we manage the parks that we have joint joint ownership with the town of Davidson as well as the county. But our parks are open, and here's some of the guidelines. So you can have organized practices now in the outdoor athletic fields, no more than 25 people. So that would be baseball and softball and so forth. And then on soccer fields and lacrosse fields, you can have 25 people on each half, and you have to only have practices and a bunch of rules for parents and so forth to stay off the field. And obviously there'll be some time where the contact in a soccer or lacrosse practice would be postponed for at least another few weeks, and that would be up to the particular league working with our town. Now, basketball courts are also open, but you can't have more than 5 people on any half court, and no organized full court games. So our parks are open, so we're happy with that. And then what we're also happy about is, as today, our Huntersville Family Fitness Center will be open to the competitive team, Swim Mac. And then on May 30th, it'll be open for swimming only, the outdoor pool as well as the indoor pools. There'll be limited capacity in hours, and you'll have to get appointments for lanes. So they're working through that. I believe there's going to be online as well as call-in to reserve a lane. But we're happy the outdoor pool will be open, and this will be open to members only. So you would basically reconfigure your membership, and then you would be able to go and at least swim or use the outdoor pool. And then our camps are actually going to start around June 15th as well, and the governor put out a bunch of guidelines for those day camps. So the last thing I have to say is June 1st, we have our board meeting, and the big topic will be the budget. We will be voting on it most likely. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want some input, please email the town clerk. And then also, we will actually allow people to come to the town's rec center in order to comment on any of the 4 public hearings or anything else. So the rec center is obviously much bigger than our town hall. We will not be at the town hall. Each commissioner will be at their home. But you can go to the Huntersville Rec Center if you'd like to do your 3 minutes on either a public hearing or any other comment. So that's all I have, John. And we'll look forward to getting a little more normal each time we call.
Very good. No, we appreciate your leadership, Mayor. Thank you for the update. Moving to the town of Davidson, Commissioner Matthew Fort. Commissioner, the microphone's yours.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on. So for the town of Davidson, we've had 2 meetings since I last was able to come in and give you guys an update. We're exploring some things, and we're also kind of already regulating some things as far as for our town employees. So all town employees in uniform are required to wear cloth face masks indoors when in town Davidson uniform. Also, police officers are required to wear cloth masks while conducting routine traffic stops. So if somebody's coming up to your window and telling you you're going too fast, 25 miles an hour, they should be wearing a cloth mask for your protection. We've discussed the costs associated with adding hand sanitizer stations strategically throughout the town in public spaces. We are going to be approving a budget amendment to get that all rolled out. And we are also working with local businesses and our town attorney to see how we can better open up more outside seating capacity, and that could be shared amongst local restaurants. Last night, we did modify our ordinance to extend the ABC license, which is in line with the state of North Carolina, so that people can spread out further away from the actual restaurant premises for their liquor license. And the overall goal is to make sure that we're helping to support our local businesses with the added capacity. We really want to get behind our businesses and hope that they're successful and ensure a successful opening. We have also asked our businesses, we've requested, not required, our local businesses for all their employees to be wearing masks. And we're providing signage throughout town for social distancing, wear a mask, wash your hands, wait 6 feet apart from one another. So those are all the things that we're kind of doing in town for the businesses and kind of around town for the residents. And then for Town Hall specifically, we're in the process of developing a formal plan for reopening Town Hall. We did approve a budget amendment to purchase a thermal imaging scanner. So it's going to be required for each Town of Davidson employee before entering their office space. So when they come in, they're going to get thermal image to make sure that they don't have a temperature. We know that this isn't the silver bullet, but every little option helps. We're going to have mandatory face masks when the staff, and again, this is for staff at the town of Davidson, not for citizens, but mandatory face masks when up and about talking, meeting with other employees or citizens. And then we're also looking to have some additional smaller handheld thermometers to check for summer camp participants' temperature. We're going to try and make sure that as we open up our summer camps, we're doing everything we can to keep the children safe and keep their families safe, so that if they do want to participate, they feel as safe as they possibly can be. And the one thing that we are looking into doing is requiring citizens inside the public facilities to wear face masks when visiting town hall or the Parks and Rec department or fire station number 2, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all that we're doing, and more to come in the next couple weeks.
That sounds great. Thank you, Commissioner. That was a helpful update. Appreciate you joining. Moving to CMS District 1 Board Member Rhonda Cheek. I think she's on the call to give us a quick update. The microphone is yours.
Thank you, John. Yes, it's just a couple quick things. One, we did have to put into effect no community use agreements for our facilities during the summer until we have more guidance. So that is something that's been announced to all of our community partners. Number 2, last night we did vote to approve an August 17th start date. This was merely a formality, as the General Assembly had actually approved and mandated and when we could start, and so we've kind of gone along with that. We are at this point planning to do remote learning for the days that the Republican National Convention will be in town and disrupting our traffic flows and just increasing our safety concerns. So that is also happening. And then finally, I would say that our virtual graduations are going to be next week. Each school, they're recording a lot of the activity this week. But the biggest part of that is, in addition to the virtual, each school is planning a drive-through celebration, and it's not a drive-through like our favorite chicken restaurant. It's a drive-through where at a designated point, the family's car will stop. The graduate will get out in their cap and gown and walk to a designated area, and his principal will hand him or her a diploma. There'll be photographers there taking the pictures. And then they will exit that area and get back in the family car and drive off. So it's a drive-through, in-person, hybrid combination where each student's name will be read over a loudspeaker. Music will be playing with pomp and circumstances as the cars are lined up. And each of our schools is just doing an awful lot to really celebrate their graduates. And I'm real happy that we've accomplished this. It's very similar to what Wake County is doing. And several of our private schools have done a similar drive up, drop off, and get back in the car situation. So that's what's going on at CMS right now. And we're obviously just kind of waiting for things to continue to evolve as far as our plans for the start of the school year next year.
Very good. Congratulations to Mason on his graduation and all the other seniors that are out there. Rhonda, your first point, the audio was messed up. I don't know what was wrong. What was your very first point you were trying to make? Because we could not hear you.
I am so sorry. Yes. So we have stopped community use of our facilities during this period and for the summer. Okay. So our community partners are not going to have access to churches, community groups, parks, and rec departments will not have access to our facilities this summer because of the situation. So that is
okay. Yeah. Thanks for
hopefully, yeah, we'll hopefully update it as we come to the fall. Thank you for having me.
No, you bet. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Okay, moving to the CEO of Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Bill Russell. Microphone's yours, Bill.
Thank you, John. As Mayor Washam pointed out a while ago, I was very excited to be able to have my first dining experience at Lake Norman, one of my favorite restaurants. And again, we're hoping to replicate that this week. As you've pointed out, we moved into phase 2, but I kind of think it's 1.5. There are a number of businesses that are still not allowed to open. Unfortunately, we have our gyms, we have our fitness firms, we have our Pilates, aerobics, martial arts, nightclubs, bars. So a number of businesses still not allowed to open. The unfortunate thing is many of those, if it's a gym or recreational use, probably would be a really good thing for many of us right now to be able to get back. John, talking to a business owner that has a Pilates clinic or studio in Huntersville and Mooresville and also in Rock Hill, South Carolina, he can open up in Rock Hill, but he can't open up here. And, you know, he was concerned that he may not be able to wait it out another 4 weeks. And so again, we need to get these businesses back open. So again, a lot of people think business is back. It's not. Many still can't get to work. And so we're hoping the governor maybe even relaxes some of that before the deadline. I think June 26th is the date I heard that we might move into phase 3. But again, number of businesses still not able to open their business. We had a fantastic program with WSIC this past Monday, Memorial Day, another broadcast of Our Towns. We focused on the restaurants. We had Harvey's, which has locations in Cornelius and Huntersville, along with Epic Chop House, which one of our premier restaurants in Lake Norman. They shared what they were doing before Phase 2 and how they were planning on handling now that Phase 2 is kicked in. And again, some great information. On a previous call, Commissioner Cotham had shared her anxiety over the stress that COVID-19 has caused business owners, students, just residents and folks in general. And we had a fantastic program a couple of weeks ago with representatives both from Novant and Atrium that talked about the stress of COVID-19, but not just the stress itself, but how do you deal with it? And so that's a great program. You can see it on our website at lakenormanchamber.org. Again, you can get information related to that topic. It was on YouTube, and it's a fantastic program, less than an hour. So again, I encourage people to watch it. We have a restart guide. I've talked about that on a number of calls. If you're a business owner and you have recently been able to open your business, or you're a business owner that is soon to open your business, you can go to the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce website at lakenormanchamber.org and see the Restart LKN guide. It's a great guide for your use as you open your business up. Make it safe for not only your employees, but your customers and clients as well. And then lastly, John, we had another great program this morning. Melanie Houston put together a program on grant writing for nonprofits. We had 11 of our Lake Norman area nonprofit organizations that are dependent on grants and that type of revenue, and some great participation as she went through how to apply for and what you need to have in your grant. So another wonderful program. There's a lot of information. Our programs have mostly virtual over the course of the last 2 months, and so there's a great number of seminars and things that we put onto our website guides to help your business, help you get the tools that you need to open up your business and be prosperous when we kind of get everything going back in the right direction. John, again, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for the folks who are supporting our small businesses and our corporations. And let's get this business started again at the lake.
Yeah, I think your point is well taken. I mean, I know people are excited things are open, but there's still a lot of businesses that cannot open, and so we need to remember them. And so I think your point is well said. So thank you for that. So just moving on, just the Huntersville Regional Chamber, here's their website as an additional resource for everyone who listens into these calls. And then Visit Lake Norman is going to open with normal operating hours. So that's new news. They are going to have some policies in place about if you need some brochures, if you're a visitor or a realtor, you need to call ahead or email ahead, and then they'll have a table out front where you can pick it up. They're going to limit 6 people at a time in the visitor center. You'll kind of have one way in, one way out. They'll have door signage there. And then, of course, decals, to remind everyone of the distancing. And then there's the gift shop that is still available online. And then you can also go into the gift shop, and they're not going to require a signature when making purchases. Or let me make sure I've said that right. You can buy online, which does not require a signature to make a purchase. So if you want to buy things, go online. But the gift shop will be open as well. Just want to thank all of our panelists. I mean, this is our 10th week doing this. This is an incredible amount of time, but it's been so helpful. And thank you for all the well wishes and the compliments. I had someone this weekend that I saw, and they just said, "Hey, shouldn't you be doing a COVID call right now?" And it caught me off guard. And they were kind of, just giving me a compliment, which I thought was really nice. So just want to thank all of our panelists for helping do this for the last 10 weeks. I post these calls on my Twitter, John Ray Bradford, and then on Elect Bradford, that's where we post them. So if you want to follow me on Twitter or go to Elect Bradford, that's where you can see them. Our next briefing will be Friday, May 29th. I don't have the panelists on Fridays to try to give them a break. If you have an email, lkntogether@gmail.com. That's lkntogether@gmail.com. We are stronger together. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Thank you for listening. This concludes today's briefing call.